Alright, this is Creeper number 1 from the crazy New 52. Since we looked at all them first issues of New 52 books, I thought let's go back to this one comic I have spent 2 years trying to understand. This is my, I want to say, 4th video on this confusing wreck, and I am still none the wiser to what this was even trying to do. This is a Dark Justice League issue, but they have put Creeper number 1 over the top of it. It has got now to do with Dark Justice League. None of the characters from that series appear or are even mentioned in this. They are all on the cover in the background, defeated by this version of Creeper, but none of them are part of this. It is not by the same creative team as the Dark Justice League book either, and Creeper or even just plot elements from this, they didn't continue in Dark Justice League. It is part of the big DC crossover, Evil Forever, except it doesn't even allude to the events of that story. There is no tie-in to it at all. All they have really done here is rebranded Dark Justice League for an issue as Creeper number 1, which I suppose makes sense because Creeper is famously amazing and this probably sold 40 million copies. But even though it is the best-selling comic ever, this version of Creeper never appears again, and what we have here is a mess of a story and a confused idea. This is by Didio. He had already struck out with his awful revamp of Pantsless Stranger, where Pantsless Stranger was now an amoral arsehat, and now he swings and misses a second time with his nonsensical revamp of Creeper. As you can see though, the script is by Ann Nonsense, which is appropriate because this is nonsense. Creeper is a simple idea and easily the best idea since the wheel. Creeper is the best character ever and the master of removing humanity and happiness from comic books. Dan Didio, he has reimagined the character as some bullshit about Japanese demons and samurai swords. And Creeper is now like a big Japanese death god and it wants to destroy everything, but we didn't see it really do out that bad, we're just told it. We also have Creeper, the beloved icon of millions. He is trapped in a samurai sword, and Samurai Lass from Suicide Squads is apparently part of its backstory somehow. It's never explained and she's just hidden at the bottom of the page. And then Jack Ryder, well, he just died off panel. Jack Ryder, the one person in the DC universe that everyone loves. Well, Jack Ryder, he is dead by this point. You'd think that one half of Creeper's identity would warrant some better introduction than he died off panel. But then Creeper, well, the Creeper spirit, it brings Jack Ryder back to life and they become one, which is very poorly established. And then they're gone about spreading chaos, and this time around, I'm actually making this sound better than it is. I'm making it sound like Dan Didio and Ann Nonsense, they have boiled this Steve Ditman character down to the concept of chaos, like he is meant to be the embodiment of chaos, and they have ingeniously reimagined this wacky and zany phenomenon as like a harbinger of chaos. And they have even told a story that is chaotic in nature. It's all over the place. It doesn't make sense. It is like metatextual, but that is not what has happened here. This is so badly told. We have got our central character, Jack Ryder, who died off panel before we even met him. We've got Creeper, who is apparently a deplorable, remorseless, truly evil demon. And Jack Ryder, when we do get to him, he is just Well, he is just exactly like Dan Diddy Dido's iteration of Pantsless Stranger. He is an unfeeling, disconnected wanker who hasn't got a single shred of likability. And this closing scene here is the only bit of the comic that comes close to having a clear narrative. It is a scene that plays out, and unlike every other part of the comic, this scene, it goes from point A to point B. Jack Ryder, he goes to a bar and he flat out tries to rape a woman in front of her fella. And like, it's not on at all. The woman wants now to do with it, and Jack Ryder, he's just like stealing her to go and rape her in the alleyway or something. And that's exactly what Steve Ditman had in mind when he created his magnum opus for DC. Jack Ryder, he's meant to be the fucking star of the book, and these bikers here, these bikers who are defending the woman, they are treated like the baddies, and Jack Ryder, he lets Creeper out and it kills them all. And Creeper, this horrible Japanese death god, well, he just doesn't seem that bad next to Jack Ryder because, well, all he's doing here is conjuring up an inconvenient whirlwind. He's not forcing himself onto a reluctant woman. And we end with Jack Ryder being a cunt some more, and I'm still none the wiser to what any of this has to do with anything. This version of Creeper is awful. This version of Creeper has now to do with Creeper. This version of Creeper doesn't even have out to do with Dark Justice League. This version of Creeper doesn't have out to do with Evil Forever. This version of Creeper never appears again. I didn't get this, I didn't know what it was trying to do, and I didn't care. Why does this exist? This time, I am even more annoyed by how inappropriate and unpleasant this is. The story is bars. There's nothing there at all. It's not a story. But on top of that, we've got this horrible prospect that Dan Diddy Dido, he seriously thought a character who forces himself onto a woman was an attraction. Why did DC think that it was a good idea to take a silly little character that the world loves 100 times over and let Dan Diddy Dido remake it as one of his edgelord pieces of shit? Dan Diddy Dido, it's easy to overlook because he is more known as a terrible editor and manager, but as a writer and an ideas man, he is pretty vile. Like, I didn't like when people like Gareth Ellis or Warren Fallis, they come along and they do all that cynical, gritty violence porn where they deconstruct superheroes, but I still respect that a lot more than a fucking boob like Dan Diddy Dido taking characters like Creeper and Pantsless Stranger and using them to air his own bleak preferences and his lack of decency. And his lack of respect. Steve Ditman, he would be rolling over in his grave, except he wasn't dead when this came out, and I bet shite like this was why he refused to ever come back to professional comics. This is a fucking mess. I don't know how to rate it still, so I rate it a 7 thumbs up with a question mark at the end.